Welcome everyone to Yoga Basics. My name is Michelle Chua. This is going to be an introduction to yoga practice, whether you're new to yoga or have been practicing a while but would just like a more step-by-step, slower instruction. You want to have a yoga mat or a towel, something that you can feel comfortable sitting or lying down on. Find a way to sit that is comfortable for your body. Maybe it's not on the floor. If you're wanting to sit in some form of cross-legged, you could use a pillow or a folded blanket so that by elevating your pelvis, you're able to drop the knees open more easily, especially if you have any tightness in your hip flexors. And then take a moment to just feel out your body, shift around. You can move side to side and just notice how your physical weight is landing on what you're sitting on, whether it's a chair, the ground, or a pillow. And you even start to maybe roll your spine around and feel centeredness. Literally, where is the center of the bottom of your pelvis that you could root down and thus lift your spine from? Why is it important to be able to sit tall? Everything affects itself. Yoga literally means union. So it is the belief that everything is connected within our physical body, all the systems, within the dimensions of ourselves, like our mind, body, spirit, within the universe, you, me, everything. And so as we affect one thing like physical body in physical poses, we affect other things like mentality, flexibility of the mind, openness of breath. So as you're adjusting your physical posture, keep in mind that you're also affecting your alertness, your energy flow, your ability to breathe more freely. So support your body in a way that you can. And then with that being said, let's take a moment to check in with our bodies. If it helps you to pay more attention to how it's feeling, maybe close your eyes. You might even rest your left hand on your chest and your right hand on your lower belly. And with that, just notice whatever you're feeling, say in your pelvis, whatever sensations. Notice anything touching your skin. Notice the muscles in your body. Bringing an attitude of mindfulness, which includes not judging what you're observing as good or bad or as right or wrong. That's irrelevant. We're just opening our awareness to accept whatever is in the moment, just as it is. So even notice anything that might feel tense, that might feel uncomfortable. Bringing loving attention to all parts of yourself. Begin to notice the way your body is naturally breathing. Notice if it feels regular, shallow, deep. Again, no judgment. It just is what it is. So through the quality of your breath, you begin to touch upon the way you're feeling energetically right now, noticing your energy level. We're going to do this check-in at the end of the practice, and we'll see if anything shifts at all. Now bring your attention to your mind. And for the next few moments, as you're sitting still here, notice the kinds of thoughts that might be passing through your mind. Notice the energy of your mind, like if it feels scattered or calm or focused. Again, let it all be good information. And then notice anything you might feel emotionally right now, even subtly. So just being with yourself with loving compassion exactly as you are in this moment, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and physically. So from that place of self-caring, and by the way, you've already begun the practice of yoga, which is being present with all these layers of yourself so that they are united. Yoga meaning union. So from that space, I invite you now to think of something that you appreciate. It could be something really small, like maybe it's not so small, the fact that you're able to sit here right now enjoying a yoga practice. Maybe a lot came into being able to make that happen. So that by stoking the energy of gratitude within you, you feel more connected to your source of well-being. So it's from that place that you now start to clarify to yourself why you showed up today. What is your intention for practicing yoga today? I know some of you told me before this recording, you might even say it out loud to yourself if you feel comfortable in your space, sort of claiming it. Now, let the breath in a little slower through your nostrils. Take your time to fill up the lungs and wherever else you feel your breath moving into. Then when you're ready, open your mouth, and if you want to sigh it out, if you want to roar it out, or just do it quietly, exhale slowly. Let it all out to empty. And then see if you can take an even deeper breath in without force, more of just letting the breath fill up more space. Like you're really savoring a delicious breath. And then exhale out through the mouth again. See if it can last a little longer. Go to the very bottom so any stagnant air from your lungs gets released. And then see if you can take an even greater inhalation, or instead of take, allow yourself to receive a greater inhalation. This time, see if you can pause, hold the breath in at the very top without tensing the body. You might even smile to remember to relax. And then when you're ready, slowly as you can, let it go through the mouth again. Any sound that wants to move through. And then at the very bottom on empty, see if you can hold the breath out for a few seconds as well. Again, sitting tall and still relaxing the body. And once you finish that, continue to consciously deepen your breath in to your nose. And this time close the lips if that's comfortable, out through the nose. Longer breaths in, longer breaths out. So as I mentioned, yoga is based on the belief that everything is connected. And so in practicing conscious self-care, as you're doing right now, you send a ripple out into the universe, which then helps to bring those around you into a greater sense of well-being eventually as well. So I invite you to think of somebody that you care about. Who comes to mind? Maybe it's a lot of somebody's, like a community or a cause that's important to you in this lifetime, and bring them to mind and maybe dedicate this particular practice to them as an offering of your efforts. This is a way to remind us that this is not just about our individual selves, and to let go of expecting any specific outcome, non-attachment. And then with that, I invite you to chant with me, and this is a way to create resonant space as we share practice together, but it also helps to tone your vagus nerve, as some of you know, helps to activate the parasympathetic or relaxation response of your nervous system, as well as help you take deeper breaths. So the chant Om itself is a very simple primordial sound that reminds us of our interconnection with all of life. So it's like you're celebrating oneness when you chant it. So I invite you to take a deep breath, and we'll chant it 3 times. And then at the end, we'll pause. So inhale, fill up belly and lungs. bowing in towards yourself as an acknowledgement of the essence within you, beyond your physical body, the clarity, the peace, the love that resides innately in each of us. And so with that, I invite you to slow the breath down as you're closing your lips. And if you're sitting cross-legged, you might be getting tired of one leg in front. So let's switch. Place the opposite shin in front or on top of the other, or switch up the way that you're sitting, because we're going to sit just a little bit longer before we begin moving. So this breathing technique we're about to practice is a way that helps to regulate your nervous system to a state of calm, and also helps your mind focus by creating a very gently audible sound that, as you're listening to it, you're connecting your present moment awareness with what's happening here and now, especially in your body. And it also helps to warm up the body to prepare it to physically move. And it's called Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breathing. You can do it when you're driving. I have done this, and you're in traffic and you need to calm yourself down because you're in a rush. Start doing the Ujjayi breath. Good way to regulate your system. So it's done. It's very simple. You create an ocean wave sound that's very slow and even by closing your lips, softly narrowing or constricting the back of your throat, and sustaining your breath equally in and out through the nose. So let's try. I'll count to 5 as we breathe in through the nose, and I'll count from 5 as we breathe out through the nose, so the mouth is closed. Let's try a few times together and then start to go at your own pace. So empty this breath to prepare. Softly narrow the back of the throat. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep counting on your own. You can even slow it down if that's possible. So inhaling and exhaling, very soft ocean waves. Can you hear it? Let your body feel relaxed as you're doing it. So the breath is not forceful. It's very gentle and smooth. And this is also going to be the qualities that we're inviting into our mind state and how we move the body. So we're starting with a breath to set the energetic tone. And anytime when you're moving your body in yoga postures, if you find that your breath starts to sound choppy, erratic, no more a smooth rhythm, then give yourself permission to slow your own body down and to always go at the pace that you need. We all have different bodies, and we don't need to do the same postures exactly the same way. They won't look the same. So if you need to slow down, do that. If you need to rest, do that. And for some people, resting means sitting down or coming into child's pose, which I'll show you later, or just backing off a little bit so you're not too deep in a pose. So you always have options. So make sure you're taking care of your body by listening to the sensations. So keep that breath going. Can you still hear it? And see if you can, most importantly, even more important than listening to my voice, keep that breath rhythm audible. Keep listening to that breath rhythm, because that's what offers the state of concentration that is really important in the yoga practice. And it brings us into meditation as well. So as you keep the breath going, you're going to start to make our way onto our hands and knees, onto all fours. So coming down to the ground, And if you have a hard floor, if you want some cushion underneath your knees, if you have something like a blanket or a beach towel that's a little softer, you can fold it up and place it as thick as you need right underneath your knees. Now set your hands flat on the ground so that you can see your fingers are really spread, the knuckles are not lifted, they're really glued to the ground, and that your index fingers are pointing straight forward or they're slightly turned out, not looking at each other. So they're not turned in, because look what happens to the shoulders. It's hard to open the chest. So you want the index fingers pointing forward or slightly turned out. And I'm going to talk quite a bit about physical alignment in our yoga poses today. And while it's not about being perfectionists, it's more another strategy to keep your mind on your body and the present moment. Because we know the mind's nature is to keep wandering off somewhere else. It's yet another way to anchor ourselves and to really get an intimate relationship with our bodies. So now as you're spreading the fingers, stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Step your knees about 2 inches behind your hips so that the spine has a little more space to cat-cow in. That's the name of the pose. So really listen to the breath. Exhale this all the way out and take just as long as you breathe in to slowly glide your chest forward, roll your shoulders behind you and down, and lift your chest and look up. This is the first pose, which is called cow. Now, as you exhale, lift the belly in, start to slowly drop your head, tuck your tailbone, rounding the back. This is the next pose, cat. Again, inhale as you glide the chest forward. Send the shoulder blades down your back ribs. Look up, lift the chest. Exhale, press through the hands, the arms stay straight. Lift the belly in, drop the head, and dome your back. Now on your own, keep going. I'm going to turn on some light music to get us into the mood. So keep going with your cat-cows. Maybe another 3 or 5 more times. This is also another self-regulation tool for calming your nervous system, known to tone the vagus nerve. This flexion and extension of your spine paired with mindful breathing. So make sure you're taking your time. We're in no rush to get anywhere. You're already here. Remembering to savor each moment of this journey right now. So a few more times. Notice how your shoulder blades are moving in opposite directions with your in and out breaths. So we're warming up the shoulders too. Cat-cow pose. In Sanskrit, which is the original language of the yoga poses, of yoga itself, is called Bidhalasana. Cat-cow pose, Bidhalasana. So from here, we're going to come into what's often regarded as a resting pose. Although for some bodies, especially if you've got knee injuries or something else going on, it's not a resting pose. If it does not feel comfortable in your body, do not do it. So let's see. Bring the inner edges of your feet together to touch. Either bring your knees together or separate the knees as wide apart as you need. And let your pelvis drop all the way down to your heels, all the way back. And then let your forehead rest all the way onto the ground. Arms can be forward or arms down by your legs, whatever is most comfortable for you. So this is called child's pose. Sanskrit word is balasana. Now, if it doesn't feel comfortable, there are some things that you can do with props. I'll show you. So let's say your knees don't like to bend that deeply. If so, you could fold up a blanket, make it as thick as you need so that it's more support. The thicker, the more support, and place it right up against the backs of your knees. I did this when I had knee operation from a dance injury, and it really allowed me to do child's pose. And then you can sit back onto that. Also, if your head doesn't touch the ground easily, then you can put a pillow or anything around, toilet paper roll, yoga block under your forehead like this to support it. So you always want to make sure that you're choosing the variation, because there are so many variations of each yoga pose, that fits your body and how your body's feeling in that moment, which might be different from one day to the next. This is part of being discerning and wise in your yoga practice so that it's sustainable and beneficial, honestly, for you. So as you're in child's pose, and if you're not in child's pose, take a position that is relaxing. You can sit up on the pillow with your legs in front if that's more comfortable. Let's listen to another 3 to 5 Ujjayi breaths where you are. So choose a position to be still in and inhale. Exhale all through the nose. Refine how you're breathing to support ease, relaxation in the body, peacefulness of mind, clarity and balance. The breath is a powerful tool to continue to use your breath to steady your mind as it listens to that ocean sound. And then I'm going to invite you to start to lift your head slowly, not too fast so you don't get lightheaded. Lift your torso slowly. And then we're going to warm up the whole body with a gentle movement, standing up. So if you have 2 blocks or 2 toilet paper rolls or 2 chairs, one for each hand or 1 big chair in front of you, and set that in front of your feet, maybe about a foot in front, as you're standing up with your feet hips distance apart. Take a look at your toes and spread them like a fan, and point your second toes forward, just like the index fingers, so they're pointing straight ahead, parallel to each other. So use that to parallel your feet, and then press your weight down. So instead of just standing like you're waiting at the grocery store to check out, press down into the ground to lift the energy up. To bring that intention of grounding, rooting to rise, so that the leg muscles feel more awake. And then let your tailbone stretch downward towards the floor, right between the heels. And notice how that slightly activates your lower belly. That brings length into your lower spine. Just that tiny adjustment, when I remind myself, relieves lower back compression. Can relieve it. And then let the shoulders roll back and down so you feel your shoulders stacking right above your hips and your hips stacking right above your ankles as you lift up through the back of your skull. Like there's a string connected to the crown of your head, like a shish kebab, all the way through each vertebra, all the way down to the tailbone. And someone from the sky is just lovingly pulling that string so you get a little taller and the breath has more space. Energy can flow more freely. Now let your palms face forward. Notice the breath. As you inhale, imagine the breath being received through the soles of your feet from Mother Earth, rising up to your legs, up your pelvis, up your torso, up your crown. And as you exhale like a purifying waterfall, see the breath descending from your crown, down your spine, down to your legs, down and out through the soles of your feet again. Inhale up from the soles of the feet, all the way up to the crown. Keep standing tall. And though you're standing with firm alertness, find a softness to the body where it doesn't feel rigid. There's a relaxed face, relaxed fingers. I'm spending quite a bit of time on this posture. This is actually a yoga pose. It's called mountain pose, or in Sanskrit, Tadasana, because all of the standing yoga poses, even the upside down poses, reference this particular pose. And doing this with adeptness and skillfulness will translate into many of the standing poses that we'll break down in the later weeks. So allow a few more breaths. And we're going to start to move through the breath through what's called half sun salutations. If you're feeling lethargic, tired in the middle of the day, and just need to get some energy moving to wake up, instead of reaching for another cup of coffee, try this. So let's take it slowly. Exhale everything out through the nose. This is called half sun salutations. As you inhale, slowly lift the arms forward, Roll your shoulders behind your ears and down. Slightly tilt the chest up. So look up, pause and breathe here. So this is one pose. Let the tailbone keep stretching towards the ground between the heels. So we're not overarching the lower back like this, but instead we're pulling in the belly and drawing the tailbone down, keeping the center. This is a big source of energy, right? Chi. A lot of energy and prana sits here. And so instead of spilling that energy out of ourselves, we're containing it within ourselves and lifting it up through the spine. So as the arms reach up, we're saluting the sun, which is a great source of energy for all of us here on this planet. But as you bend your knees, imagine you have a flat back, take a deep breath in, and exhale, slowly bow just to your range of motion where you don't start to round the back or feel tension in the back of the body. And then place your hands on your props. If you don't have props, place your hands on your thighs or your shins, not your knees, thighs or shins. And then as you breathe in, press into that with your hands and stretch your spine forward like the string from the top of your head is being pulled towards the wall in front of you. As you breathe out, drop your head and maybe bow a little more if you can do that without straining. Bend your knees so that you don't feel any strain. Now press down with your feet. As you inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise all the way up, saluting the sun again. Now as you exhale, bring your hands to prayer position, a symbol of reverence. And as you bring the hands together at your heart center, reminding yourself that the source is also within you. So let's try it. That's the half sun salutation. Let's move to the breath a few times. So connecting as you inhale, take that amount of time to lift the arms. As you exhale, take that amount of time to fold. All right, let's try. Standing tall. Let's bring the hands together at the heart. Exhale completely. Inhale as you lift the arms forward, roll the shoulders back, look up, tailbone down. Exhale as you bend the knees with a flat back, bow forward. Place your hands on your props or your thighs or shins. Inhale, press with the hands, stretch the crown of your head forward. Exhale, bow down again. From down to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rising all the way up, saluting the sun again. Bring your hands together. Exhale as you bring the hands to your heart center, acknowledging the sun within. Let's try 3 consecutive rounds of that. In Sanskrit, it's called Ardha, which means half, Surya, which means sun, Namaskar, salutation. So empty this breath and let's try 3 in a row. Notice how it feels for you. Get into the groove of your focus. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, roll the shoulders back, gaze up. Exhale, bow forward, bend the knees if that helps to lengthen the spine. Press your hands down. Inhale, stretch the top of your head forward. Exhale, bow down again. Press down with your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rising all the way up. Roll your shoulders back. Exhale, join your hands in prayer down to your heart center. 2 more. Inhale, arms overhead. This pose is called Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward. This pose is called Uttanasana. Inhale, press with the hands, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow again, Uttanasana. Press with your feet, inhale, rise all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Hands together as you exhale, bring them to your heart. This is called Padasana, hands in prayer in mountain. Last one. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, arms overhead. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Press with your hands. Inhale, lengthen, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Press with your feet. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, all the way up. Exhale, bring the hands together at your heart center. Maybe close the eyes. Maybe they're already closed. Pause a moment, check in with yourself. Notice how you're feeling right now in your body. I can tell you all the scientific facts of research of how yoga benefits well-being, but really it's your own direct experience that matters the most. Can you still hear the ocean in your breath? With that, I'm going to invite you to come back down to the ground. And if you have a toilet paper roll or a yoga block, then take the side that's about this thickness, which is the thinnest side of that block. If you have neither, or you might also have a pillow. If it's not too big, this might work. If you don't have either one, just pretend you have it there. So you're gonna space your feet apart, where you're gonna take the skinny side of that block and hug it right between your knees and thighs. The purpose of putting the block here is actually to stabilize your lower back in the posture we're about to do, which opens the chest, shoulders, and breath, bridge pose. So take a look at your feet as you're sitting up and make sure they're parallel to each other again, and that they're separated as wide apart as your knees. If you don't have anything between your knees, it's about hips distance apart. If you're really wanting some physical rigor for a second, you can raise the arms forward, palms face up, and give yourself maybe 5 to 10 breaths to slowly take your time coming down into your back. So that's some core strengthening if you want to add that in. Otherwise, just lower onto your back. So when you do eventually lower onto your back, head is on the floor, not on a pillow, bring your arms really close to your sides, and then slide your heels back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite, just almost. There we go. Make sure their feet are parallel again. Press down with all of your feet, the 4 corners of each. Press down with the backs of your shoulders. We're going to lift the pelvis off the floor for about 5 to 7 breaths of your count. And then with an exhalation, we're going to slowly lower the back and then the pelvis. We're going to do that 3 times. So bring the arms really close to your sides. Keep the shoulders on the floor. Tilt your chin slightly away from your chest to open the passageway for your breath the whole time. Now, as you press your feet and shoulders down, inhale, begin to lift your pelvis off the floor. Hug the block or the imaginary block and stretch the front of your thighs towards your front wall. Bring the upper arms closer together under your back ribs, but keep your arms straight. Maybe the hands just press into the floor, or if the hands meet each other, you could interlace your fingers. Are you counting your breaths? So make sure you're counting 5 to 7 slow ocean breaths, or ujjayi breathing, so that at your own pace, when you're done, with an exhalation, you can slowly lower your back and then your pelvis to the floor. So as you're hugging the block, we're preventing the thighs from splaying open. So that helps to broaden across the lower back. And as you're stretching your thighs forward, you're stretching the lower back instead of scrunching into it. So when you decide to lower, take your time. Imagine that each vertebra is kissing the earth, 1 vertebra at a time. Keep the block if you have it between your thighs, and just rest your pelvis on the floor. You might rest your hands at the heart center and just notice any sensations you might feel there or elsewhere. For 3 breaths, pause. Cultivating non-judgmental awareness of what's here now. Okay, round 2 of 3. Bring the arms in really close. Press the shoulders and feet down. When you're ready, inhale, lift your pelvis. As you actively stretch your thighs forward, upper arms under the back, maybe the hands clasp. Without moving your feet, imagine as if you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes. So isometrically drag the heels back as you stretch the front of your thighs forward. This might give you a little more lift in the pelvis to further open your hip flexors and quadriceps. We're really targeting a lot of the front body physically here. Energetically, we're targeting the heart center. We'll talk more about chakras at another time. And we're opening up the shoulders, countering, rounding the back that can happen from driving a lot or texting, which causes shallow breaths, less oxygen to the brain, which can make us feel tired. So we're trying to counteract that stuff and get some energy flowing. When you're done, lower and rest. Be still and observe for 3 breaths. All right, when you're ready, last one. Bring in the arms close, press through your feet and shoulders. Slowly lift the pelvis, reach your knees forward, isometrically drag the heels back. Slide the upper arms closer together under the back ribs. Maybe clasp the hands. If they don't touch, don't worry about it. If you have a strap or something like a strap, you can hold that between the hands instead, or nothing at all. So focus on 5 to 7 really deep breaths. Slow, even breaths. The Sanskrit name for this posture is kind of long. It's Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose in English. If you're coming home from a long day, maybe at work or something else, this can be a very helpful posture. Just open up the breath again. Open up the heart center. So once you're finished and you've come down, if you have something between your thighs, go ahead and remove it. Keep your feet on the floor, slide them apart a little wider apart, like hip mat width apart, so wider than hips width. And like windshield wipers, slowly drop your knees to the right. Breathe in. Slowly to the left, breathe out. Connect your movement to your breath. Inhale to one side. Exhale to the other side. You might be feeling a delicious glute or lower back massage right now. I have sometimes fallen asleep doing this. It's okay if you do. A few more times. So this helps to loosen the lower back. Release any tension you might have in the glutes, because in that previous pose, we did engage the glutes to lift the pelvis. And then bring your knees in towards your chest, whether you hold your shins or you take your thighs, or if it's hard to reach your legs, grab something long like a strap. I'm using a blanket because that's what's closest, and kind of bring your legs towards you. So this is basically child's pose on your back, right? It's a good way to stretch the lower back. If you keep your tailbone on the floor, your head and shoulders on the floor. So whether you're hugging your legs or pulling them in with a strap, deep breath. Exhale everything out. So different postures have different benefits that are more specific. These compression type of poses like forward folds, and this is a forward fold as you're bringing your legs towards you, help to stimulate your digestive organs, right? Get energy flowing through these lower chakras. So when you're ready, roll to one side or rock forward. Find your path of least resistance to come all the way up to sit. Bring the soles of your feet together this time. We'll just come into a forward fold that also opens up the lower back and the hips. So if you're sitting with your feet together, your knees bent apart like this, and your back wants to round like this, grab something to sit on, whether it's a pillow or a folded blanket. So like earlier, by lifting your pelvis higher than your knees, you can more easily open up the thighs. right? So, and allow the breath. And through deep breaths, allow prana, chi, energy to flow. So as you're rooting down through both sitting bones, holding onto your ankles or your feet, if they're hard to reach, use the strap as an extension of your arms. Place it around the outer feet and hold that instead. So you can relax the shoulders, lift up through that string that's like a shish kebab to your spine, and then allow a deep breath. Fill up everything you can. Now as you exhale, keep your throat and chest open and start to hinge just a little bit from the hips, just a little bit. Pause here, press the pelvis downward, stretch through the shish kebab of your spine. Inhale, exhale, maybe fold a little more. So there's no end goal. We don't get a medal for touching your forehead on the ground or anything like that, right? Yoga is not a competition. It's about tuning in. It's really in the Yoga Sutras, which is basically the guidebook of how to practice yoga, written in the 2nd century, but translated in modern text today. It defines yoga as the calming of the fluctuations of the mind. Yoga is the calming of the fluctuations of the mind. So what's this pose about? Well, we're in these bodies all day, 24 hours a day. So it's going to be a distraction if it's in pain, if digestion is not working, or we're feeling stress and we're holding that physically. So we work with the body as an entry point to working with the mind. We work with the breath as an entry point to working with the mind. We meditate as another way to work with the mind. And ultimately, the goal of yoga is to be liberated from the fluctuations of likes and dislikes, and really from forgetting our true nature, that connection with everything and that which is beyond physical form. So with that, on your next inhale, start to lift your chest so that your spine can slowly lift upright. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Give them a shake if they might need a little more channeling or rinsing of anything that might feel stagnant, anything that wants to shake. Maybe sound wants to shake, because sometimes using your voice is a helpful way to unstuck energy. Ah! Get out of the mind. Ah! All right, we're going to prepare to lie down in stillness for the next few minutes in corpse pose. So, as you're preparing to lie down, if you have lower back stiffness or you just want more comfort, grab something like a pillow or 2 blocks or a rolled up blanket that you can put underneath the backs of your knees like this, so that they support a gentle bend in your knees. Splay your feet apart, a little wider than your hips distance, and let your feet just relax. And then as you're coming to lie down, you might like to have the weight of a folded blanket to help you feel more grounded and safe. And you can place the weight of that, or maybe a pillow, right on top of your pelvis and your belly. And then take a moment to roll your shoulders back into the floor and to slide your shoulder blades down your back ribs so your neck feels free and open. You've got an huge energy center there at the neck too. And then as you rest your arms down by your sides, turn your palms to face up. So this is a gesture of openness and receptivity. Then close your eyes. If you have something gentle you can rest on your eyes, an eye pillow, a towel, that might be helpful, so that you can bring more awareness inward. I'll stop talking in a moment. And from here, let your head, your skull, just feel heavy. Feel your shoulder girdle completely resting on what's underneath it. Feel your 2 hips sink into the earth. Let all the muscles in your body relax. Your stomach, muscles in your jaw and tongue, around your eyes. Now sense your breathing, and if you're still taking deep breaths, finish one more full inhale through the nose, imagining you could breathe into your whole body. Exhale it all out through your mouth. And then from here on, let go of controlling your breath. Sense the intelligence of your body to receive and release the breath on its own. And continue to be aware of the breath just as it is now, as a way of resting your attention in the present moment. We're going to be here for about 4 or so more minutes before we come out and prepare to meditate. So enjoy stillness. Shavasana is the name of this pose. Let your body continue to rest here a little longer. And with your eyes still closed, notice how you're feeling physically now. Being very gentle with yourself, like you're waking up someone you love. Begin to move small parts of your body. like maybe slowly turning your head, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, or lifting the corners of your lips. And then ease into a simple stretch, maybe circling your feet, stretching your hands, your arms. Taking your time, moving little by little, eventually turn over onto your right side where you could rest your head on a pillow or your arm. And as you're lying on your side, now bring your attention back to the breath and just let it be natural. Notice the way that your body is breathing now. What does it tell you about the way you feel energetically now? Does anything feel different in this layer of yourself? Take your time pressing your hands into the ground, slowly lifting your head, lifting your torso. Place your body in a comfortable way to sit down for a few minutes in meditation. So if you're choosing to sit cross-legged, which is not obligatory, of course, you could sit in a chair if that's more comfortable for you, then you might elevate your pelvis on a pillow. Now, in preparing to sit for meditation, it's important to set your body in a position that feels comfortable and allows you to stay alert so you don't fall asleep meditating, although we're not going to be meditating a long time. And of course, allows your breath to continue to move naturally and fluidly. So it's helpful to sit upright where your shoulders are right above your hips, so the spine is at its tallest point. And you might place your hands in some gesture. They're called mudras, right? They're like yoga poses for the hands that cultivate a certain energy or feeling tone. Here are a few you might choose from. If you're looking for more of a feeling of inner balance and equanimity, you might place your hands face up, stacked on the center of your lap with your thumb tips touching. If you're looking to feel more groundedness, you could bring your thumbs and your index fingers together to touch and place the palms face down like this, maybe by your knees. And if you're looking to uplift your energy, feel more connected to maybe higher levels of consciousness, you can keep the same shape in your hands and turn the palms to face up. So do whatever works for you, or don't use a mudra. These are just suggestions, right? Personalize your practice. And then you could either close your eyes for meditation, if that helps you to concentrate, or you could steady your eyes on one single focus point, something that's not distracting, like a flame on a candle. Now that you've chosen, begin to observe your breath. Notice what part of your body you can most easily feel the breath. Now land your awareness there gently. If your attention goes somewhere else, like a sound that happens in the background or a thought that pops in your mind, notice when that's happened. There's your window of opportunity to bring yourself back to the present, back to the breath. As we continue to sit here observing the breath for one more minute, come back to the breath as many times as your attention wanders. Be kind to yourself when you do. Now, sense the way you're feeling mentally. Notice any emotion that may be present. The poet Rumi said, "Do you pay regular visits with yourself?" Mindfulness teacher and author Pema Chodron says that having a regular meditation practice, however long you choose to meditate for each day, is a way of committing to your well-being. It's establishing loyalty to yourself, your inner self. So notice how you feel as you're culminating your yoga practice. You might bring your hands together at your heart as a gesture of union and gratitude, taking a moment to thank yourself for allocating this time and space to have this meeting inward. Thank you to you, community, for showing up, co-creating the space. Anything that you can count as a blessing right now, knowing the power of gratitude. So from that place, I invite you to once again say your intention for why you practiced. Say it to yourself, mentally or out loud. And then allow a moment to visualize that person or whomever you decided to dedicate this practice to today. Imagine them receiving benefit from your efforts. And to close, let's join our voices once again in that sound that reminds us of our connection to all beings everywhere. The sound of Om 3 times. Inhale into the pit of your belly. Bowing in, acknowledge the light and the wisdom and the guidance within you. That's what we acknowledge in each other as we greet each other. Namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.